Hi Gemini, welcome to March 2020. This is your horoscope and tarotoscope. It's a little bit darker than my usual readings. The setup's a little bit different, but that is as much to do with my change in location as it is to do with the vibes. I think it's more important that I get this up on the 1st of March rather than the lighting being perfect, because a couple of you guys really want your horoscope on time. And a couple of you have said, you never do the Gemini reading. I do. You are getting it on the 1st of the month, number 1. I know that Pisces season's a bit tricky emotionally for you. Because, to be honest, even though it's a fellow mutable sign, the temperament is really quite different. And you are feeling the shift in mood. You are feeling a little bit lost in the waves of nostalgia. You thought that things this time of year would be very different to how they're actually looking, and it's got you in kind of an odd place. Your ruling planet Mercury retrograde happens a lot, and it is making you question what success looks like. 6 of Wands. And what you need to do in order to be successful, because Pisces is, of course, your 10th house of reputation, fame, prestige, career advancement, and you are thinking very hard about what success looks like to you, what it looks like to others, and maybe you're seeing other people doing quite well. And what you need to do, rather than wonder too deeply about it, not that you would, but wonder too deeply about it, you will want to emulate some of those characteristics, particularly if you see that the other person or the success that you seek will make you financially well off. You're thinking a lot about your career and a lot about your money because you're going to, whatever your motivation for it, you're going to need to make a bit more money than you are right now. And if it's to do with a family dynamic, you are starting to look for the idyllic. Oh, yes, the idyllic. Idyllic, I can't even pronounce it. You're looking for the way that things should be. Or the image in your head that you have created of the way a family dynamic should look, a relationship dynamic should look, success should look. It's all quite based on a fantasy image you have in your head that is being brought to your attention with that Virgo full moon. Again, the mutable energy. The Virgo full moon on the 9th occurs the same day Mercury goes direct. And as you know, and you probably know, Mercury, while being your planet, is also Virgo's. So for it to go direct on the day where the full moon is in its sign, Virgo, is quite an interesting one for you. And again, it is that 4th house energy, 4 of Cups, family dynamic, family situation. And if you need particular advice on a situation, particularly if it's about love, you might want to seek out your family. You might want to seek out the closest person you can have. 10 of Pentacles, a grandparent. A parent. A sibling. Maybe not your siblings as much. You're wondering why. It'll all reveal itself why, maybe not the siblings. But the family, I think it's a grandparent. Especially if it's to do with some kind of a romantic situation that requires quite a lot of introspection as to why you feel a certain way about the way things are working out. So let's talk about this 4 of Cups. You're a bit tired. Wheel of Fortune. Things didn't quite turn out the way that you thought they would this time this year. They haven't turned out quite the way that you hoped. You're feeling a little bit disappointed and a little bit like, I could do this, but I don't know if I want to do this. I could say this, but I don't know if I want to say this. One minute I'm feeling really optimistic about the way things are looking, and the next minute I'm feeling very uninspired by the future, by the situation, by the people around me, Gemini. And you're thinking of making a move. The Magician and the Knight of Wands. How easy it would be to abandon commitments right now and run off into the sunset. Knight of Wands. Whew. You will be pleased to know that the Virgo full moon is going to change things. And Saturn moving into Aquarius, as well as Mars moving into Aquarius, and Aries season coming along, Gemini, again, is going to change things a lot, and it's going to get very exciting. And you needed that, because when you get bored, which is where you are here, you start to make decisions based on that boredom, because you're seeking some sort of intellectual excitement, stimulation, emotional excitement or stimulation. And for a lot of you, Aries season in particular is going to show you Eight of Swords in the World. It's going to show you how to get free. It's going to show you how to release yourself from the self-imposed restrictions on your mind. And dare I say, you won't like this, but you have some emotions that go pretty deep that you need to look at. Gemini and the Ace of Cups. And it's difficult terrain for you. It's not necessarily something you're familiar with. But you need to go deep with feelings that for a lot of you go back to your father or a grandparent dynamic. Feeling a loss in terms of a certain kind of love you needed from this person that wasn't available, or a grief of this person that's no longer with you, or feeling a little bit like, well, they weren't necessarily sticking around, so can I really trust anybody else to stick around? There is a sense of disconnect that you're not fully emotionally invested in a relationship or a situation anymore because of something that does go a lot deeper that you've not been willing to reflect on. And I will tell you one thing, Gemini, you will not lose your future based on a little bit of emotional reflection regarding a decision, regarding a change of fate, regarding something that you lost. You will not lose anything by reflecting a little bit on that. That is what Mercury retrograde can often do for us that we will not necessarily do for ourselves. That is the reason it's your ruler, and that is the reason why it's so important, because you don't always do that reflection on why emotionally you're disconnected from this person. Is it because there is a pattern here? Is it because they remind you of something? Or is it because you feel like you made a mistake? I think it could be any of those things. But whatever it is, as you move into Aries season from Pisces season and you try and navigate this energy, you really, really, really need to look at this. Your deep emotions that you are denying for now, and that you will deny some more, there is a sadness here. And you think you can control it by calling the shots in your personal life. But this isn't about anybody else. This is all about you. And if you are expecting some kind of love, I think, or you are hoping for some kind of love, Ace of Cups and the Magician, you are for sure manifesting some kind of new emotional bond or situation there. And perhaps it's someone who lives quite far away, or speaks a different accent, or has a different view in the world. Whatever it is, it doesn't have to be. But I think a lot of you need to have a bit of an emotional adventure here, even if it feels a little exhausting. The Ace of Cups is smack bang in the middle of your reading because it wants you to start over emotionally. And the only way to do that is to get to the root of a family dynamic and see why you think things should look a certain way, and if you are simply playing house. The Wheel of Fortune's an interesting one too, because let's look at the major arcana, because we have some brilliant, brilliant cards in March. So, Wheel of Fortune in the world, I associate those so closely together. Jupiter is now in Capricorn. And with Mars having been in Capricorn, forming a bit of a connection there. And Venus moving into Taurus, which is going to make things romantically so strange for you. Because it's going to throw a lot of that 12th house terrain of dreaming about somebody and then they appear, and synchronicities and soulmate connections and people from the past and past life connections, those kind of things. You know, those people that just, you know in your mind that they're coming into your life in some way that's sort of different from everybody else. You know those? Yeah, those. And Mars, the Jupiter-Mars connection, putting forth a desire to dream and act on it, and a very strong impulse to do these things. And it occurring in Capricorn, which is, of course, for you, an exceptionally intimate part of the sky. And your intimate life, the people that you are intimate with, if you're intimate at all, you know, you'll go to the level that you can go to. The Ace of Cups can be exceptionally emotional, but you can still chuck all the water out of the cup. Everything is really being tipped upside down, turned around, 360 degree backwards, 360 degree forwards, but it's all leading you to a very wonderful spot. And I could have told you that from the beginning, but it is important to walk you through it. Eight of Swords followed by the World is seeing that your success, whatever how, when, where, what it looks like, what it's meant to be, the World is all about that one, that completeness, that wholeness, that fulfillment, that feeling that everything is connected and that everything is working out as it should. After the Eight of Swords, it is that you have come into that feeling of success, out of those self-imposed restrictions. You will no longer feel trapped by the end of March, as I know that you probably have been feeling for a little while. Bottom of the deck, we have the Eight of Pentacles. You've been working towards something. You've been patient with something. You want to have your say. Ace of Swords. You want to communicate something that has been bubbling within you for quite a while. With the Nine of Wands, you kind of wanted to give up. I think you're feeling a little bit remorseful with the Five of Swords, or a little bit deceived by somebody. And the Knight of Cups and the Nine of Cups and the Fool suggests that if you're dealing with a water sign, a Scorpio, Cancer, Pisces, that is new in some way, or it doesn't have to be new, it could be whatever situation you have. With the water signs, there's a lot of wishing, but quite possibly a bit of projection onto them that they are this, and particularly if it's a Pisces, because there is this projection thing going on with Neptune. But nonetheless, there seems to be a risk worth taking with the water sign, and a decision still to be made with a fire sign. What are you guys going to do next? Are you going to the next level or not? Are you going to move forward or not? I think you're keeping a lot of emotions to yourself, a lot of decisions to yourself, because you are kind of indecisive. You are feeling a little bit trapped. And if you're thinking of going back to an Aquarius or someone that has a lot of star power, you might want to sleep on it a couple times and expect a little bit of backlash, a little bit of anger, either from them or from your family or whomever. It's kind of complicated, but it's kind of not. So, going to draw the animal spirit cards. It's strange, I didn't have to clear my throat until the Gemini reading, and I think it's a lot to do with that throat chakra. The blue energy is very much in the middle here. Wear blue because you need to say something. And it's not like you just sit quietly, but I think it's because you've actually mentally put a lot onto this. Ooh. The cheetah and the rabbit. I think you're going to surprise people this month. I think your haste towards something is going to take somebody else for a loop. I think they're going to be very surprised at your tenacity, your complexity, your drive to go towards something that you want, especially if it's career. I think people are going to be very shocked And I also think that you need to keep your wits about you regardless of the decision or the pace that you want to go at. You have been for a while feeling trapped and unhappy about a particular situation. The way things worked out, as I say, the way things haven't quite gone the way that you wanted them to. In Aries season from the 20th onwards, with that new moon in Aries in particular, Gemini, I think you have a lot of power there. That is, of course, your wishing season, your wish fulfillment season. And you will see a result that you want to see. And if you could only see how great it's going to be, you wouldn't have that anxiety about it. But you guys do have that anxiety about it. Because Gemini, you actually have a very strong desire to look to the past. You don't cling to the present the way some signs do. The way a Taurus does. Or the way a Cancer does. You don't cling to it that way, but you do look back a lot. And you can look back and wonder, but this is asking you to look back and go a bit deeper about it. Why did you do that? That Four of Cups. Why did you reject that cup? And is it back around? And can you make it happen? And does it involve travel? And does it involve a strange dynamic? Okay, spooky. Imrama, where are you being called to journey to? You're going after something. You're thinking of doing something very interesting. And Akasha, your guidance is divinely guided. You know that there's something going on. When Venus goes into Taurus, your next move in your relationships and your finances is anybody's guess, but I'm very excited to figure it out with you on the way. Okay, Gemini, I'm going to go straight into your extended and go into all the different star signs you could be dealing with and clarify each of these cards. I hope to see you there, and I will also be putting up your Mercury retrograde special. Love you. Bye.